Hey guys, welcome back to Founder. Almost said Curvy Custom Bride there. I am with Leila today, owner of Curvy Custom Bride, and we are hanging out in her studio in Sobro. We are sitting right now in the fitting room. And I'm going to take that back for a second. You might remember Leila from our first issue. She wrote It's Just Whipped Cream, and she talked about women and how we tend to settle for many things in our lives. And it's so wild. I've told you this a handful of times already, but we had so many of our readers message us about that article. And one, I'm happy it resonated. Two, I'm so mad that we all settle so much.
I know.
When I first met Leila, well, first met you,
Yeah.
I was gonna model with you for a fashion show, and then I remember the first time I came into the studio, I heard about the whipped cream and the settling. Before we dive into everything, do you want to share that?
Yeah.
Because I feel like everyone needs to hear it. And if you haven't read the article, I'll link it below. You should read it. But
yeah. So the
Take it
settling is like, it's a real thing. So a lot of times when I'm working with people, they'll be like, they'll say like from one fitting to the next, like, no, it's okay. I mean, it's better than last time. And which is fine, right? But at the same time, what I want is for somebody to be like wearing something that I've made and they just feel like rock stars, right? So, so I spend a lot of time alone. So I basically feel like this whole process of like saying, no, it's fine. Like, it's okay. That starts way before you get to that point where you're going to plan your wedding. And so we start off, and I am not sure exactly when it actually starts because not a psychologist, but basically I'm imagining like a preteen, right? They get some money, they go to Starbucks, they go up and they're like, I am ordering my own coffee today. And they go up and they order their coffee, and then they're like, they ask them, okay, would you like whipped cream? And the person says, no, thank you, that's okay. And then they go and they wait and they're super pumped because they're like, oh my God, I just ordered like my own first coffee. And I paid for it, and I have my receipt and all that stuff. And then they give them the coffee, and then the person looks at it, opens it up, and there's whipped cream. And what do we say? It's fine. But my theory is that the more that we practice saying it's fine for things that are quote unquote small things, we get really good at it. So then you get into relationships that are not good, that we just say, you know what, it's better than my last one. Or, I mean, they're really trying. It's fine. I mean, like, yeah. I'm kind of whatever too, like those kind of things, right? And then we get into jobs that we don't really want, but people are like, like, oh, what else are you going to get? And you're just like, oh, that's fine. Or pay that you should be earning more. Mm-hmm. And instead you just take whatever they're offering. You don't counter offer. Mm-hmm. So like all of these things build over time. And the more you practice it, again, the better you get. So then you get to planning your wedding, and all of a sudden everybody's looking at you and they're like, but what do you want? And it's like this locking of eyes, and you're just like, oh, like, I don't know. And I don't know that the I don't know is an actual I don't know. I think I've never actually been asked, right? Mm-hmm. And even if I have been asked, it's so tinted with societal expectations of people, particularly women. Add in a bunch of underserved people as well, trans people, non-binary people. Mm-hmm. But then looking at it just from this point of view of women, all of a sudden you're being asked, what do you want? Like, world's your oyster, Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're just like, it's fine, right? Take that a step further, and then you get, there's that word in the wedding industry, the B word, bridezilla, right? Mm. Which I think we should get rid of. I think we should absolutely get rid of. Right. Because I think that people that don't have emotional support when they're planning their wedding end up acting way out of character. And that's when people get called names. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and typically these are people that have not been heard and have not wanted, and finally realized, you know what, I'm not going to settle now. Right. And because they're not settling, and everything is coming up from like that first time that you realized my opinion doesn't matter, then all of a sudden everything just boils over and you're going to act out of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't settle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what's so amazing, and I know that you will explain this much more eloquently than I will, but is like the experience and how much you become a person for each of your clients, to be in their corner, to be like that advocate of like, if you don't like this, we should change it, because you can. And just, I feel like having someone, and like you said, if someone doesn't have like someone emotionally supporting them through this whole process, which is a huge process for something that is very joyous and celebratory, it does come with a lot of stress. So I mean, maybe let's start there with like the process, and like we can start with the activity if you want to introduce that now, or we can start with what happens when someone reaches out. I mean, I think this is all, I mean, it's the company and you, but it's like so much of you is in it because you make it such a warm, welcoming place for people, and I think that is so incredible. So
I mean, like when you were waiting for me to be ready from my last fitting and they didn't want to leave, you know, like that makes me feel good that people aren't just running out of here like, oh, finally, that was painful, you know. But it's a lot of hard work on both ends, because if you are the person getting married, then you have to like figure out like, okay, this doesn't feel right, but where exactly doesn't it feel right? And so then it's intense. It's really intense. Yeah. But it all starts with a conversation, right?
I love it.
Back it up. It actually starts with an email. So people email me through my website and they tell me their inspiration. Sometimes I get like one client this year, she sent me a link to a pair of shoes. And she's like, that's my inspiration. That's all I know. And that's what I don't know what else I want to wear, but I want to wear like pants, but something. But my inspiration is these shoes. So we built her whole look based on the shoe, which is thrilling, right?
I love it.
So when once we get through, you know, once I go through the email and I'm like, okay, you know, what do they want? How can I help? Then we get on, I mean, COVID started this part. We get on a video call and we do an hour video call, and that's like talking through, you know, what you love, but a lot of it ends up being what people hate. So it'll be like, sometimes it's sad because it'll be like, I hate my arms, I hate my belly, I hate my, you know, and it took a, and then they go, well, you know, I just don't like, you know, cap sleeves because they always cut my arms. And it's like, well, what if they were made to fit your arm? And we just don't know. Because we've always said, well, I can't wear that because it always cuts my arm. But if it's custom, then you can wear that, right? So like stuff like that. So we go over that kind of stuff. I talk about the process, what they can expect. And a lot of it is just getting to know each other so that we can, so the more comfort we have working together, the more I know that they'll be comfortable enough to say, hey, you know what? I don't know why, but I don't like this, you know? And I've had emails and texts where it's like, hey, you know, we're already in the middle of the process and it's like, I don't really like the top, or I don't like the pants or something. And I'm like, I'm glad you said something, you know, because that means that you feel confident enough that I'm not volatile and that I'm not going to blow up in your face because you changed your mind, you know? So
that's such a big part, is like letting them know that like that channel of communication is open and it is ready to be utilized. I feel like I mentioned I got that new job and it's like my first leadership role, and the biggest thing for me and like with the magazine even is like being in this role where I'm like helping move a lot of things, is like I want people to know that like if something's not working, you can talk about it. And I feel like that's something that isn't necessarily like taught a lot, but it, like, we all know what it feels like when you feel like you can talk to someone and when you feel like you can't. And so I mean, that is so amazing that you are able to create that and like open that channel for so many people. I'm gesturing to the rack of dresses and garments that she is working on right now. But I mean,
a couple.
Every single one of those is a person that you have helped make feel safe and confident in reaching out, and that's so amazing.
And the fun part about that is that I know that I set up the environment, but I don't make anybody do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're always, you know, like sometimes, every once in a while I get like somebody who I don't feel like they're opening up, right? And I'm just like, and the thing is, you don't say, open up, you know, right? So you have to wait. And just waiting, and or like waiting for the point where, you know, where you're doing like final fittings and the person is putting the clothes on that I've made, and they just seem like they're okay, but not thrilled, right? And so we just tweak and tweak and tweak until we have like, everybody has a way that they can like non-verbally express how thrilled they are with the clothes that they're wearing, you know? And so I always say that, you know, I'll do anything for that moment, you know, when like somebody's like, you know, like, whatever it is, they get excited, and it's just like, or like touching themselves, where they're just like, I have never loved my body so much, and saying things where I don't have to tell them, you look so good, you know? I never say that in the studio. I get excited, but that's separate from how I'm not trying to guide or manipulate or hype them, honestly, to get excited about something. Like, even if I am excited about something, I'll say, I'm looking forward to the next fitting. And it's very neutral, even though I am like so far from being a very neutral person. If you know me in person, you know this. But it's like, but I don't want to quote unquote build somebody up. And then once I leave, they have no ground to fall on, right? You know, so then what I do is that I just wait and I keep tweaking things until they can see themselves. And then once they see themselves and they realize what they're wearing and it just clicks for them, people usually dance or twirl or like, you know, do something, shimmy, you know, and then I know that they're happy. You know, I know that they'll walk down the aisle and like hear whispers and look back and be like, I know. You know, and keep walking. You know what I mean? Like, it's a confidence that you cannot put onto somebody. You can't say, you look so good, because then you need to have that constantly. But if you have that inside of yourself, nothing can shake you. But back to the process, right? So all of that comes later once the trust has built. Because you can't start with blind trust. Right. So we go through processes like going through color cards. Yes. Right? Love so we have like this kind of stuff, and
what do you want me to hold?
Hold the color card.
Okay.
So what we start looking at is
look at that sheen.
Right? Ooh. Silk, baby.
I was never big on silk until you put me in silk.
Oh my God.
Now I'll never wear anything else.
It's addicting. So like, you know, so then you can say like, okay, you know, here are different types of fabric. And this is where a lot of people get, and it's not like, some people are like this, some people aren't. Decision making is exhausting, right? I'm catching people at the beginning of the whole like wedding process, because people usually come to me like first, second, or third in their hiring. So they usually get venue, photographer, and then the look. Yeah. It's venue, photographer, look.
And we're sharing this in October. So if you are watching and you are curious, you are booking out to 2022, is that right?
By October, I am taking some 23. So it depends on when, but we could definitely start talking about 23s. Ooh. But a lot of 22s, so a year in advance is probably the best amount of time. Not because it takes me a year to make a garment, but because it takes a year. I think the more time you have, the better, because then you can actually like sit on things. And then you can be like, you know what? I thought about it, you know, and time is a luxury. Yes. And this is a luxury experience. But it's luxury in different ways. It's luxury in that we give it time It's luxury, obviously, in the materials,
Yes.
but it's really luxury in like mental health, you know? So we're allowing time to be able to sit with things like, I don't know what any of these mean. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like we've got like a taffeta, and then these come in in these colors, and then we have like a fun peak, which
what is peak?
It's like how it's you know what it's like? It's how it's woven. So this is kind of like you know, uniform t-shirts, like uniform, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And they have like this weird texture to it. That's what this is.
Oh, okay.
But wedding. Like we're not wearing a t-shirt. I mean, you could.
If you wanna.
And then you've got like your Duchess satins.
Ooh.
Right?
Oh, she's soft.
Yeah, she is. And then, so like, it just all depends like what you want, you know? A lot of clients right now are asking for crepe dresses. So I do a lot in crepe. Pants as well. I'm making a pair of pants for a client in this stretch crepe that white suit that they're made out of.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know.
I will link images to the referenced items below. They are dreamy.
Yes.
What is your Instagram? Is it at
Curvy Custom Bride?
Yes. Find it, stock it. Beautiful pieces on there.
The newest addition to the Curvy Custom Bride lineup, not that there is really a lineup in custom, but is suits. Yes. So last year you saw the maroon suit that I made for Kaylin, and it was such a fun it's such a fun story for me because it's exactly how I want to be there for people. Like she's a firefighter, right? So like super built, right? But then like she couldn't find anything anywhere. Like nothing anywhere. And she wanted something very specific, and she couldn't find anything that would fit, anything that she felt really like hot in and like, you know, awesome and kick ass. Yeah. And so then her photographer, Abby, was the one that was like, oh, ask Leila, you know, she might be able to make you something. And so then Kaylin came to me and I was like, yeah, like what shade of maroon? You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know? And so we ordered samples. So that's basically, so back to process. I know you asked about that. But like, it's basically video call. Next time is in person. And what I do from the video call to the in-person is that I collect a bunch of stuff because I want people to come in here and like if you say like I really like navy for like a suit, or I want like, you know, something with some texture, then I'll make sure and pull this out, right? Or if somebody wants like a crepe and they want something really, really textured and kind of like, crepe? It's wool crepe. I know.
I love it.
And it's got a little bit of stretch to it.
Which I honestly didn't think of that with crepe. Yeah.
So there's like, you know, so then I would go through and like pick a bunch of samples, and if I don't have anything like here already sample wise, then I would order a bunch of samples. So then the email is pretty exhausting because it's long, right? So then people can pick out like, I want to see this and this and this in person. If we're doing like a white shirt, like, do you want it to have any texture on it? Do you want to have, and then if people say, well, I don't know, then you show them samples, right? So then I collect all the samples, and then they would come in, and then that's for like suits and stuff. But if you were getting a dress and you wanted lace, hey-yo, that was to keep us awake.
Yes.
So then, you know, so then you go through this. There's 3 books, so 3 binders, and right?
This is how I want to spend every rainy day. Just
oh my God, is it raining?
It could be.
Really? It was raining last night. It was weird. I was like, what's that noise?
Yeah, I did not expect it to rain.
This was Amanda's favorite. When I first ordered like the first batch of swatches from this company, she was like, I love this. And then you saw her wedding dress is like a 4-ply silk crepe, very, you know, vintage kind of look.
That's funny. Amanda is Leila's partner. They got married. beginning
January.
of this year. Yeah, back in January. So wonderful. And Leila actually made themselves this baller suit.
Oh my god, I love that suit. I wear the jacket all the time.
I love that you wear the jacket.
I know. I really do. And then
it looks so
I made
good.
a suit for one of my kids. Helped make the other kid a skirt that she had designed.
Love it.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, so I mean, like, there's so many options. And in some cases, it's like, it's so fun because I'll get people that are like, well, I'm not really into fabric. And I'm like, that's cool. And in the back of my head, I'm like, everybody gets to a point where they're like, I want to wear that. Does it come in the color that I want? Because I want that on my body on my wedding day. And it, like, I had this client a couple of years ago, and she was saying, like, well, you know, I'm not really into fabric, I'm not into fashion. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. I'll walk you through it. I'll help you and whatever. And then I pull out this one, I pull out this one fabric, and she was like, what's that? And that's what we made her dress out of.
That is so cool.
Like, everybody sort of gets to a point, and like, even, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I had a new client come in. She was looking through all this. She's like, well, I don't know, like, this is nice, and this is nice, and, you know, this is pretty, and blah, 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 blah. So then I walk people through, like, okay, this is what the swatch looks like. This is what the sample looks like, but look at the overall pattern. And then in some cases, the description will add, like, what the pattern repeat is, so you can like measure it out and kind of imagine what the size of the repeat would be.
Right.
And then that helps people decide, like, yeah, I don't want that one. And then, you know, they get to a point where they're like, oh yeah, you know, I really like, either like, I love this, or they tend to go like, well, let me put that one aside, and then they keep pulling it out. And then you're like, do you like that one? And they're like, I don't know. And then they keep pulling it out. And they, like, you know, they'll have like other things to look at. I love this one. Isn't that pretty?
I love that texture.
Yeah. Little 3D action.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Oh, look at that.
So cute. It's like a little butterfly.
Well, one of my favorite parts, and I feel like I know we're jumping around, but like, for
what?
me.
With me? Never.
But for me, I feel like it's part of the process though too, is, so most of you know me, a lot of you are getting to know me. I'm not engaged right now, but I love coming in and playing dress up, and I've modeled some wedding dresses in the past, and so it's been really fun to like get a piece of that process with you whenever I come in for fittings and different things. And I mean, I'm looking around like the studio, and you have so many images of people that look like people, and it's not just all of these people in Milan that are a certain size or whatever. It's like just real women, and like you can come into a space and feel like you are in good hands because of what you're seeing. And I'm gonna pull these out now because they are my favorite. And it's just like all the different skin tones that you see. And I remember we were talking about how when you look for veils, there's, and I mean in the wedding industry in general, that like the representation is not like always there.
Super lacking. Yeah.
And so I remember coming in, and I said, I like mesh, but I feel like I don't see mesh that like would match my skin tone. Yeah. And so I don't want to be wearing like, y'all know, those V-necks that like show. Because I've tried them on and I just feel funny because they're obviously lighter than my skin. And then she whips these out.
This company's amazing. This is one woman. This is one woman. In, yeah. And she dyes all of these. Like, what? So many. And
we
should link to
dreamy.
This company.
Yes, I will link to this one below. Because
like, so even if somebody isn't like super chocolatey dark, right? Or like caramel, whatever you called yourself the other day, was so cute. But like, you know, even like somebody who comes in and like, there was this one woman, she had that little mesh, right? And she was like, it looks weird. And so I was like, can I cut it out? And she's like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, don't worry, I can like replace it if you change your mind. So then I cut it, and then I put just a different shade of tulle behind, like right there. And it actually matched her skin tone. And she was like, oh my God. I love it now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that thing of like, oh my God, this just doesn't even look like me. Like, why would I want to wear this,
Right.
you know?
Well, it's like knowing or not knowing if it even exists. I mean,
Right.
I didn't know that this exists. I just recently, I can't think of the name, I'll link it below, but like the shoe company who makes all the nude shoes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Like,
Me too.
I mean, I feel like I was in probably middle school when I bought a pair of nude heels for me, and it's like, I don't even know what color, not my color.
Right.
And it just, I don't know, it's just funny. And I feel like, again, like I know you were on Pinterest now, and you were like, I want to be on Pinterest because I want girls making their wedding boards to pin women who look like them.
And
or
even
people
like
that look like them.
Yeah, and that, I think that's the biggest thing is that, like, you know, every once in a while, like just maybe a handful of times I've had, it's usually not the client that I've been working with, but it's somebody adjacent who ends up coming to the pickup, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, and I'll say like, you know, I'd love to see pictures. And part of it is because I want to see how the whole look is, you know, but another part of it, and the bigger part of it, is that I want to show more representation. So like older brides, you know, obviously non-binary brides, and, you know, trans brides, and people that don't even consider themselves brides, that don't identify with that word. You know, like I want to be able to show so many people, and I get a variety. I've got like, I get like so many interesting people that walk different kinds of lives. And I want everybody to be able to have something that they're like I want my feed to be something that everybody could go to and be like, that looks like me. You know, like, oh my God, that looks like me. Because there are some designers who don't work with different body types.
Right.
You know, I've had people, I can't tell you, like this first email that I get, I'll have people that'll apologize for what their body looks like. And I'm like, but one of the cool things was I got an email and it was like, sorry, you know, this is what my body looks like. And then they said, but based on your website, looks like you're cool with that. And I was like, yes, like it's working, because that's what I wanted to do. It's not to show my work.
Right.
Like the point is that my work does show a variety of bodies, you know, identities, sexualities, orientations. The fact that that's what I want for my website and for all my social media, you know, so people can be like they don't have to take that step. They can just say, hey, this is what I want. Can we work together? You're awesome. That works really well, by the way, saying how awesome I am.
I'll keep that in mind. I mean, it's that, and I feel like it's like you said, seeing yourself in someone's work. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, like whenever we vet makeup artists. Yeah. We always go to see, like, are you able to work with somebody that has a different skin tone? Are you able to work with, like, this different face shape? For, like, hairstylists, I always look at, like, what kind of face shapes. Like, if you can't match the hair to the face, then it's like, you better have an oval face going in. I know. And so, I mean, knowing that you have, like, a stack of this, it's like, I'm not stressed about finding a color or a fabric that I will, one, feel comfortable in because of eczema, two, feel confident in just because of how it, like, reflects with my skin. So, I mean, I think it's so amazing how conscious you are about what you're representing. Yeah. And I talked about this with Teresa from Mineralogy a lot about, like, I know, I love that you guys, like, talk on the socials now. It makes my heart so happy. But it's really cool that, like, both of you, and I mean, obviously more brands too, are taking time to reflect on, like, who is my audience? Who am I serving, and who do I want to be serving? And making sure that your marketing and branding and example work is reflecting that. I mean, that's so big. It's huge, because, like, you know, being able to, like, click through and, like, type something, like, you know, like what you were talking about with the veils, you know. So if you go to Pinterest and you type in black bride veil, you get black veils on brides. You have to be very specific that you're looking for a white, off-white, whatever veil
on a black bride. Like it's so it's so ridiculous. And if you type it now, it's like you get some.
Yeah.
Because people are a little bit more aware of it, but in general, all you get is black veils before you were to get anybody of color. And like same thing with Instagram or anything really, TikTok. Type something in, do a search for something. I'm like doing it like this, like I use a computer. Like I never use a computer. I am always, everything is on my phone and I swipe. So I should just be saying, and then you type into your computer. I should just be talking like this.
How big is your phone?
Oh my God, my phone is like the size of, no, my phone, where is my phone?
I think it's right there, is that not it?
Oh yeah, that's my phone. Hi phone. I don't even know what I was saying. It was fascinating though, I'm sure.
It was fascinating. You were talking about black brides.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. I think another really cool thing though, and I've seen so many more people utilizing like the alt text feature.
Yes.
Because that is so important, and I feel like I didn't really learn about that until I started doing like ADA compliance training for like website building.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think it's so cool that people are. I mean, some people are only using it for like SEO purposes, but I mean, for its actual intention of like being like accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
It's really cool that like now you can like say, hey, this is what this is.
Right.
And I feel like that does also help, not just for an SEO reason, but like when people are searching, it helps you find what you want in a way.
And you know, I think sometimes I see like over explained alt text, and then sometimes I see like really vague alt text. And I found that what has taught me the most about how to write them out, not that I'm perfect, you know, but like it's using, like instead of watching TV shows or movies, put your headphones on or in, because it depends on what kind you are. Put your headphones on and use the audio description under like captions and stuff like that, because I realized that I was missing, because I listen to TV when I'm working, right, but I'm not watching it because I can't watch something while I'm sewing. It's so slow that way, I promise you.
I'm sure you would poke yourself too.
I mean, you're just like, you know, and then you get excited because it's the episode that you love or whatever. But like, you know, but then also what I realize is that like there's so much of TV now that has text from like text messages, and those show up. So if you're not staring at it, watching, you miss it.
Yeah.
And what I've realized is that like I sometimes can't see it because either like the contrast is too light, like there's not
fast,
or it's super fast. So I started putting the audio descriptions because of that. Because then I would hear, it would say who's texting who and what the text says. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like so helpful. And I'm like, now imagine if I were walking around the world and all I got was bride in front of house. And you're like, okay. Like, that's super thrilling. Like, I bet it's a great picture. You know what I mean? And then it's been helping me, and I need to be better about this, but it's been helping me like understand like what I, you know, just giving me ideas on how to be better about that, you know, about accessibility.
You want to do an example? Can I pull my picture down? Do an example?
Yes!
Okay. Out of frame.
Oh my God, she's walking.
Do I pull?
Yeah, I think so. No, I think it's Velcro. Do it.
Oh!
I know.
I wish you guys could see what I was doing.
Hello.
Okay. So this is one of the first times we reconnected.
I know.
So, okay, give me a bad alt.
Okay, so I'm not the like end all be all of
right.
alt, right?
Right. But what we've learned, we can share our learned experiences.
So this is where I'm at currently. So I would think that a bad one, or like just like a
efficient.
Yeah, just like not super clear or whatever, would be like person in white dress in front of an arch.
Okay.
Right? But then what you could do is that you could say, light-haired, so like basically think top to bottom.
Okay.
Light-haired, smiling bride holding a bouquet of white flowers with greenery underneath. I'm having like a hard time with words. Underneath an elaborate arch, looking back towards the camera.
Okay.
So then you can see, okay, she's blonde, she's holding a bouquet, which we had missed in the other one, and then we know what direction the body's going in. You could even throw in lace dress, because then you can actually like see it a little bit better. And it doesn't have to be like she's thinking about, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to, it's not a tone, right? But you can just like add some things that like, that help you like visualize it a little bit more.
Like tell that story.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. This has been so educational and so informative. Okay, I do have to show off your sketches. I want to show your sketches, and then I have my final question.
I think they're under there.
This one?
Oof. There's one more.
Yes. I love it. Okay, I'm going to show these. Do you want to share this part of the process a little bit?
Yeah,
since we're answering the same first question.
I know, right? I mean, whatever. So sometimes when people don't necessarily know what they want, and like sometimes people come to me and they're like, I have no idea what I want. And so I'm like, okay, let me sketch some stuff for you. And then that way we can start visualizing, like, do I like this kind of skirt or this kind of skirt, right? And then squiggly is universal for lace, just so you know.
It looks beautiful. It looks like lace.
Right?
I feel like I could point it out from this book.
I mean, there's definitely ones that would work really well for that dress.
I just love the cut and everything. So beautiful. Sorry,
Thank
please.
you. No, just that. And then the only thing that's, that I, like one of the things that I always try to do is that I try to sketch on, these are called croquis. So like how you sketch this body form. Okay. Those are croquis, and those are like the croquis that you can like Google and find online. They're all pretty much the same body type. There is some variety now, more than before, but I always try to like sketch as close as possible to the person's body, you know? So I will ask, in some cases I've asked people, when I remember, I'll be like, could you send me a picture of you like anywhere? I don't really care. I just want to see your full body, like front side, you know? And then that way I can actually take their body shape, draw that out, and then sketch on their body.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it's hard to see, like, it's like, oh, do you like this? And then it's like, oh, yeah, I totally love it. Because I'm like 9 feet tall. You know what I mean? Like, what? Right. How is this helpful, Lila? So, like, what I would want to do if it were, like, for me, then I would obviously, like, change how the proportions were, show that it's a smaller torso, a shorter torso, bigger boobs, bigger hips, and then just shorten her. You know what I mean? So that you could actually picture it get a little bit closer to picturing what you want, you know?
And I love that, because again, it's like being able to see yourself in it and not having to be like, well, this would be different, this would be different. I mean, it's just the amount of effort that you put in to make it easier for people to visualize themselves in it. Because I mean, it is custom, and so I mean, that can be hard. Yeah,
totally. And I think I just got recently, somebody was saying that they were telling a friend that they were going custom, and that the friend was like, oh my God, but what if you don't like what they make? And it's like, right, but I am collaborating with the client, not with my brain and my brain only, and you come in for fittings and I decide what you're going to look like and how, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's more like, you know, like even today, the fitting that I was in today, it was like, can we move? Like, I feel like the hem looks weird and I don't know why. And I'm like, that is super helpful. It doesn't look right to that person. So then we fiddle with it, right? And so then that's where the collaboration comes in, because it's like, I set it up one way, but if it doesn't look good to that person, what's the point? Right. Like, I don't want clothes to go out that people are like, oh, this is a fill in the name of the brand. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit. Think about the strawberry dress. Do you remember that? There was like this strawberry dress.
Yes.
Like, yes. And like, I know somebody who bought it and like got it, and like the fit is awful. It is awful. Oh, no.
know.
And so it's like, what is the point of having something that has a brand name if it's not going to fit, you know?
That's very fair. Because you want to feel good, especially when you spend money on stuff like that.
Yeah.
You want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
Okay. My final question. Well, really my second question. And I ask all of my founders this. What do you do that inspires you?
What do I do?
Like, how do you inspire yourself?
I
I also change how I ask it every time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool too. What do I do to like get inspired kind of thing?
No, it's like, let me think. I don't want to use you as an example because I don't want to influence you.
Right. I was trying to get my answer from you.
I know.
I'm kidding.
I think of, and I just did my Indie Maven article.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned that a woman who inspired me was one of my teachers in elementary school, Betty Faye. And I said that she was very inspiring to me because she was one of the first adults in my childhood life that was like, it is okay to feel things and feel sad. I remember there was another teacher I was close to that had passed away, and I was leaving class one day and she was like, I know you guys were close. How are you doing? And it was like just weird because I'm just like this little twerp in second grade, not really like thinking about like feelings. I mean, I was sad, but I was like, I'll get over it.
Right.
And she was like, no, like it's okay. Like you can talk about her and like feel what you're feeling. And so like to me, she is someone that inspires me. So like, what is something that you do that inspires you? Did that help?
I mean, I think what it is that yes and no, because I think that talking to people inspires me.
Okay.
Like, hearing about people's story, that inspires me. Being part of this process, just like, it's weird because I know that I'm doing the work. I know that I'm there. I know I'm doing the fittings. I did the sketch. I helped them pick the fabric, but it's ours, you know? So like that process with each different person is different, but there's an element of connection that is very inspiring because that's all I want, you know? I want my life to be full of connection. So I would say that's the most inspiring thing. And today, you know, I got asked what was my favorite thing to do and my least favorite thing to do. And I realized that my least favorite part of the process is what they asked. My least favorite part of the process is when people leave, you know, because all of a sudden, like, it's built to that culminating point where it's like, okay, they're picking up, they're getting married next week, it's done, you know, but there's definitely like not a mourning, maybe that's like, I mean, I'm dramatic, but do I go that far, you know?
Why not?
So like, it's a mourning of like, you know, we had this time together and this like, you know, it's kind of like theater is like that, you know, you're in a show and you're like, oh my God, we're going to talk forever. Like, let's do lunch. And then you get into another show and then you're like, you know.
Can't do lunch.
Right?
Yeah.
But there is that like, that intensity that you have with the people that you're working with. And then it goes away and you have like this like, you know, like, it's like a letdown that like, oh my God, now, I mean, but the memories are worth it, you know?
That's really well said. And I love how you said, a life full of connections. I feel that deep inside. Yeah. I'm thankful to have you as one of my life connections. So thankful. Thank you so much for making time to do this interview for Founder to Founder. Thank you all so much for joining today. We release a new Founder to Founder every third Friday of the month. Woo! And we'll see you next time.
Bye!